Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and I am making this fresh out of the Dallas Stars' victory against the Colorado Avalanche to advance to the second round because it just was that wild of a game that I feel like I need to do an immediate reaction. So many factors went into this game with Colorado blowing it, Mikko Rantanen getting a hat trick, just Colorado losing the series on the whole. Where the hell did they go from here? So first off, let's talk about what exactly went down. Mikko Rantanen just stepped up in a huge way. That first goal, there was like a weird kind of like pick play. Arguably could have been interference, although I agree, not the no call on the ice. Rantanen just walks down the middle of the ice and just scores. Like it was as easy as a goal that he's going to score at the NHL level. Not good. Ryan Lindgren on the ice for that. Then Ryan Lindgren on the ice for the next goal. Mikko Rantanen entering the zone. I believe, was it on a power play? I don't know. He wraps it around. Sam Girard is just standing right there, basically as a human backboard in his skate, and he scores. Then Mikko Rantanen just stepping up in these big moments. They go to the power play that was only caused by a Jack Drury penalty, a guy that was in the Mikko Rantanen trade. The layers to this goddamn game. And then Mikko passes to, I forget who it was, Hintz, who passed a kind of great pass to Wyatt Johnston on the other side, who had nothing but daylight in terms of putting it home. And then eventually a Mikko Rantanen empty netter. And just first off, we got to talk about Mikko Rantanen. What way to overcome adversity. The first 4 games of this series, he had just 1 assist. Everybody was absolutely clowning him for not really having an impact on the series. And I was among that because, in all fairness, well, he wasn't playing that good to start out. Then in the final 2 games, and obviously this game managed more than the 4 points that he had in the last game when they lost 7-4, but 4 points in game 6, and then a hat trick in 1 assist in this game. Completely stepped up, shut everybody the hell up. And for the Dallas Stars going forward, man, assuming that they can get Heiskanen and Robertson actually I'm a little bit more uncertain of, but if Heiskanen comes back in game 2, game 3 of that series, I think we can agree Dallas is probably going to win that series over Winnipeg, although the way that I'm picking games right now, Winnipeg's probably a lock. But Dallas, if they can get by Winnipeg and then Robertson's back for a potential Western Conference Finals, they're the co-cup favorite with Florida. I think that that's pretty fair, considering they just beat such what we thought was a formidable Colorado force, despite not having their number 1 defenseman, despite not having their number 2 forward. Guys stepped up, especially early on in that series. Some of the clutch goals that they got from guys like Colin Blackwell. But yeah, dude, what an effort. Peter DeBoer improves to 9-0 in game 7s. That is just a bonker stat. And at the end of the day, he did outcoach Jared Bednar, without a doubt, who we're going to talk about also very shortly, and whether or not he should be on the hot seat. But yeah, just such a collective effort from Dallas, who have really become the cream of the crop to a degree in the Western Conference. I know they haven't made a Stanley Cup final since 2020, but back-to-back Western Conference finals. It seems like this team has learned from years past and are going to be a formidable force. And personally, my pick probably right now to make the Western Conference finals, unless, of course, Robertson's out like the rest of the playoffs or something like that. But yeah, dude, big guys stepping up, big moments in games 5 through 7. The trade is aging damn good for the Dallas Stars, although Logan Stankoven also playing pretty good for Carolina, and they gave up 2 first-round picks. He was what you expected in terms of being that true difference-maker, superstar forward that we thought Dallas was maybe slightly lacking. I think Robertson's getting back on track to being a superstar. But yeah, this is what you give up one of the bigger trade packages in NHL history for, and he came through. He vanquished his demons and shut Colorado the hell up. Now we got to talk about Colorado, though. We got to go from optimism to just pure pessimism when looking at Colorado. First, I just want to say, like, if you're a Colorado Avalanche fan, I feel so bad for you. Like, you did not want any of this. You wanted your third best player, your future retired number guy, kind of re-signed for your team. You did not ask for Rantanen to get traded. If he was only asking for $11.75, $12 million, what are you doing? But yeah, if you're a fan, you're going through it. And if you're a Colorado Avalanche manager or coach, you should be on the hot seat. 1 playoff series win in their last 3 seasons with Prime Makar, with McKinnon. Of course, this run isn't a failure because they won in 2022. But if you said 50-50 shot the next 3 seasons after their 2020 Cup win, I give you a 50-50 shot, even odds, you're probably taking yes because they looked that formidable. Now, granted, we knew that 2022 team, because they had Kadri who was leaving, might not be as strong. And of course, Landeskog got hurt, but they did put him on LTIR. They did free up money. But what has happened since then? The prior 2 years, there's maybe some excuses with Landeskog and with Nichushkin, but this is just simply unacceptable to lose to a Dallas Star team that's still, again, a very good team without their best defenseman, without their second best forward. But yeah, dude, how do you allow that to happen? Jared Bednar, on the flip side of that, 0-4 in Game 7s now simply unacceptable for him to get outcoached. I believe he's lost 3 of those to Peter DeBoer. I think that the stat coming into it is that he was 0-2 against Peter DeBoer in Game 7s. So, although I'm not saying Bednar's a bad coach, similarly to I said, if Tampa moves off John Cooper, although I love John Cooper, that wouldn't be the worst idea, bringing in a new voice. More so for Bednar, who only has that one Stanley Cup appearance, compared to Cooper, who has 4. You maybe move off him, man. You maybe move off him. That is just unacceptable this season, and even losing to the Kraken back in 2023 when they didn't have Landeskog, didn't have Nichushkin for the final 2 games of that series. Also unacceptable there. And Chris McFarland, we're about to go over the overall cap sheet that they have and the moves that he made this season. He definitely needs to be on the hot seat, considering although him and Joe Sakic probably make the moves in hand, but considering he wasn't even the general manager, only the AGM when they won in 2022, he should be on the hot seat. Let's go over what they did this season and what the cap situation looks like. Okay, so we got the trades pulled up, and up first, the Mackenzie Blackwood. I think we can agree that's obviously a long-term move, considering they re-signed Blackwood at $5.5 million. This was a good trade. They got Mackenzie Blackwood. Yes, Kovalenko is a solid depth piece, but they moved off Georgiev, gave up a second-round pick, but this is actually a good trade. I co-signed this. Then they got Parsenian. We're not really going to talk about that one. They gave up a third-round pick to do that, though, actually, so we will talk about it. They eventually flipped Parsenian in the Lindgren deal. Parsenian re-signed with the New York Rangers recently. But yeah, this was attempting to bring in an upgrade, and he didn't play that good, and he gave up a third-round pick. Then we got the 3-team for Mikko Rantanen, but basically they got Necas, a second, a fourth, and Jack Drury. Drury takes that big penalty at the end of the game. Necas has been solid. I believe he was slightly under point per game with the Colorado Avalanche. Next year, $6.5 million is going to be great value, but what the hell will he demand after that? They did pick up a second-round pick, but yeah, I think at this point, after this game, you're a little bit underwhelmed, especially if he was only asking for 11.75, 12, even $12.5 million. At this point, I hate to completely switch up on prior takes, but yeah, when he has 8 points in his final 2 games, this trade is just bad, dude. I don't care what you say. I said it in the moment. People say, Ryan Lindgren on the Colorado Avalanche is going to be good. He's just a bad defenseman. If you watched him for the New York Rangers this season, and he was on the ice for the first and second goals for Colorado, directly somewhat responsible, was on the man that eventually scored. So yeah, gave up a second, gave up a fourth, gave up Parsenian that they basically gave up a third to go out and get. Not good. And then this one, Brock Nelson for a first and a second round pick. When we talk about their cap situation, probably not going to have the cap to re-sign Brock Nelson. So they gave up their first, their best prospect for 7 playoff games of Brock Nelson, where he went donut in terms of goals. Had 4 assists, but you don't pay Brock Nelson to be a pass-first guy. You pay him to get some goddamn goals. This trade, I also don't like. Coyle does have another year at $5.25 million. Is he even kind of like a $5.25 million player? I'm not so sure. But they gave up middle stat, whatever. He had 2 years left at 5.75. He was net negative. But a second-round pick, it is Carolina's pick. I understand it's not some extremely valuable pick, but still a second nonetheless. Already traded a second in the Blackwood deal. And Will Zellers, in his draft year +1, won the award for the best player in the OHL. Led the USHL in goals. So yeah, gave up their second or third best prospect as well as a second round pick to get Charlie Coyle, who's like a good bottom sixer and has another year left at second line money. So that was pretty bad. Brought home Eric Johnson. Cool. And yeah, so the Coyle and the Nelson deals and the Lindgren deals, objectively pretty goddamn bad. Rantanen, again, jury's still out on it. They got a good player in Martin Necas. You can't kill them for that. And Blackwood is definitely a good deal, but those other deals not looking so good for them. Now we're going to go over to the cap situation of the Colorado Avalanche. Let's pull it up here. They don't have any bad contracts, again, but they don't have any cap space to improve the team this summer, especially with Gabriel Landeskog coming back this summer. They got Brock Nelson. They got Jonathan Drouin as an unrestricted free agent. Maybe he'll just sign another $2.5 million deal. But yeah, they have $53.5 million tied up in forwards. You go over to the defense corps. They got multiple guys locked up. Lindgren, an unrestricted free agent. They have $26.5 million. So quick mental math, they have $80 million tied up between their forwards and defensemen for next season, and they have $6.75 to their goaltenders. So they only have like $8 million to spend, $7.5 million to spend. Like it is, what's the cap at? $95 million. I don't know if that math's exact, but they're not going to be able to bring back Brock Nelson. Of course, they're getting a bump from Landeskog in the regular season next year, but come playoff time, it didn't make a difference against the Dallas Stars. So this team, and they don't have a ton of assets. Let's go over to their picks. Let me just want to take a second. Draft picks. Don't have their first. Oh my God, they don't have their first, second, or third the next 2 years. So they are not in a good spot. They are going to be a slightly worse, definitely compared to their playoff run roster this year. They're going to be a worse team next year. They don't have any mobility in terms of draft picks or cap space flexibility. They're still in a good spot. Again, they're going to be a very good team next year. I'm not acting. This isn't like the Los Angeles Kings where I think that loss maybe like might have broke this goddamn core. Like they still have two of the best players in the entire NHL in solid depth, but Dallas isn't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be just as good next season, and they still have young players. Like the thing with Colorado is you look at the age of their players. Let's pull this up again. It's all old guys. It's 29, 32, 20. Like Natchez is like their young, spunky forward, and he's not that young. Coyle 33, Lehkonen 29. Like this team, although again, McKinnon and Makar, they're going to be good for the next 5 years at least, high level guys. The rest of this team, 2-3 years until Lehkonen starts regressing. Nichushkin at 30 years old. Gabriel Landeskog at 32, although he looked good, a full regular season, and then playoffs. How will he look with his knee? It is concerning times in Colorado. You obviously not going to do some blockbuster trade after trading Rantanen and that going poorly, but it's dark times. One playoff series win in the last 3 years is simply unacceptable. But let me know in the comments when I do the 5 teams that are eliminated, because I did the video with the 3 teams that have been eliminated, what they should do this summer. I'll really dive into Colorado, but I had to make this instant reaction just because it is so shocking that they lost, and especially in the way that they lost, blowing a 2-0 lead in the third period. Good Lord. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.